Hello everyone and welcome to Good Journeys Tarot. Today I am here to talk about how I connect with my decks, and I'm going to show you a variety of things that I do to connect with them. I do not always do the exact same thing every time with every deck, but I do try to connect with them in various ways. So one of the things that I do with a deck when I receive it is I will flip through the cards. Just take a look, see what's in them, and decide, try to associate my meanings with the pictures on the cards. So, for example, I just received the Pam's Vintage Tarot, and the first thing I did was flip through it to see how it was different or similar to other decks that I had. And then I would decide, with most of my decks, it's like, okay, well, when I'm working with this deck, what do I want to associate with it? What feelings, what type of energy do I want to associate with it? And so I will do two things. One is I'll decide to store a crystal of some kind with the deck. In the case of this particular deck, I am currently using an Amber Heart that I had. I do have a lot of anxiety, and so the Amber tends to help with that. And as this is going to probably be a more personal deck than one I might use with a client or a querent, I associated it with something that would be healing in my life. Another that I have a crystal association with handy is the Spirit Keepers Tarot. I currently work with it with this Amazonite Angel because this is the deck that I use for my higher spiritual development and for my shadow work. And so for me, the Amazonite being related to communication with the divine or angels was very significant for this deck, and that's what I will use with that. Another thing that I will do is I will choose an essential oil to work with a deck. That to have that same sensory clues as I'm reading the deck is often helpful. And for the Wildwood, I'm currently using the Tree Guardian oil, which was by the Witch's Moon. It has a very piney scent, a very evergreen aroma, and I just thought that worked with this particular deck. And as I've mentioned several times, one of the other things that I'll do to really bond with my deck and connect with it is I will modify it if I feel that it is appropriate. Like I have done the Wildwood. I don't believe I've actually shown this to you guys yet because I hadn't completed it when I did my modification video. But I did do it in dark green, and I just thought that really helped the deck. Now you will notice that with the Sharpie there is some bleeding around the edges. For me, it gives this deck a little bit of more rustic feel, which is what it really, I believe, deserves. The cards are just beautiful. I love the imagery. It just evokes that connection to nature that I was looking for, as does the essential oil that's with it. Another thing that I will do from time to time with some of my decks is that I will run them through some incense, just because that aroma, that association can help me to connect my various senses as I'm reading the decks. The other thing that I always do with my decks to connect with them is I always read the book or little white book that comes with it. I do tend to use my own meanings with cards, but I like to see what the authors had to say about it. And for example, here's a little white book from the Zillage Tarot. This is a pretty deck. It's a watercolor deck. It is based on Thoth meanings, and so it's a little harder for me to read with my own Rider-Waite-Smith meanings because the cards have on the bottom of them keywords which are really associated with the Thoth system. And I loved everything about this deck until I read the book. And when I read the book, I read the description of the devil card, and the devil card is actually a three-breasted devil leaning against a phallus. And when I first got the deck, did not see that phallus, but once I read about it, that's all I can see in that card. And so now that deck, it's just not have quite the same meaning to me as it did before. So this was just a quick video to give you guys some of the ways that I connect with my decks and relate with my decks when I receive them. The last thing that I do is that I always do the same 12 card reading with them to kind of get to know the deck. And you're actually going to see that here in just a moment popping up on your screen. Thank you for watching, and until next time, good journeys.